Lamar and Drake, and it was such a massive moment in hip-hop that it overshadowed everything else in their feud, breaking...
Shoot, I ain't gonna lie, it's a huge moment in hip-hop. In terms of like the past 2 decades, this is almost as big as the Biggie and Tupac beef. I ain't gonna lie to you, it might be overshadowing. I ain't gonna lie to you, because too much is happening from that.
And becoming one of the fastest growing rap songs, actually songs, in history. And now, as of the other day, Drake has officially filed an 81-page defamatory lawsuit against Universal Music Group, claiming that Kendrick Lamar's song, Not Like Us, pushed defamatory statements against him. Now this...
But here's the thing though, right? And I'm sorry, I'm a Drake fan. Feel me? That's not hip hop, plain and simple. Like, a diss track is about pushing defamatory things towards each other. Like, that's what it's about. I'm gonna diss you in the worst way. Shoot, people might even come for your mother. But you can't sue, bro. You gotta come with a hotter track. The fact that Drake is suing, it looks so bad, bro. It looks so bad. And as I said, yo, favorite artist. What he should have done, take your L, come back with another song, bro. You could have kept quiet. Let Kendrick have his run real quick. Pop back out with some songs where it's like, yo, oh nah, Drake is wild and he hungry right now. Because whenever he's hungry, he goes crazy. But he made everything Kendrick say or said come to fruition. Should have just stayed quiet.
Is very wild, not only because it involves one of the biggest artists in the world, but also because Drake is going head to head with Universal Music Group, the biggest record label in the industry, a label he's been in bed with for some time now. I want to go over the meat and potatoes of this particular lawsuit. The lawsuit starts with what happened at Drake's Toronto home on May 7, 2024. Late at night, a group of armed attackers drove up to his house while he and his family were inside. The attackers stopped their car in front of the property, shouted F Drake, and started shooting. One bullet hit Drake's front door after passing through the security gate, and another struck a security guard, who also happens to be...
Let's speed this up a little bit more. A little bit more.
To be one of Drake's closest friends. While waiting nearly 30 minutes for an ambulance to arrive, Drake and others in the house worked to keep the guard alive by applying pressure to his gunshot wounds with towels. Fortunately, the guard survived after being rushed to the hospital, but the situation left Drake shaken up, as the lawsuit says.
Crazy. Catching a stray over a beef that you're not a part of is wild, bro. Happens every day, my guy.
After the security guard was rushed to the hospital, doctors worked to remove the bullets, stop the bleeding, and save his life. It took days for him to stabilize, and thankfully he survived. Now the lawsuit continues with more incidents that apparently put Drake in danger. Just one day later, on May 8, 2024, things escalated once again. An intruder used his bare hands to dig a hole under the security fence surrounding Drake's property. He managed to get through, but was stopped by Drake's security team before causing harm. Even so, the lawsuit states that the man shouted racial slurs and threats at Drake before being escorted off the property.
Yo, bro. Homie used his bare hands to dig a hole under the fence. You have too much time on your hands, bro. That guy just might be a psychopath.
That wasn't enough. Another break-in attempt happened the following day on May 9, 2024. According to Drake, these back-to-back incidents weren't coincidences. They were triggered by UMG's actions just days later. And this is when we move on to the next part, where the lawsuit reveals why all this happened, supposedly. Drake's legal team states that UMG, the world's largest music company and his label for over a decade, is at the center of this entire thing. Just days earlier, on May 4, 2024, UMG approved and launched a campaign to make a viral hit out of a track, accusing Drake of being a pedophile and even called for violent retribution against him. The song in question is, of course, Not Like Us.
As I said, yo, past 50 plus years in hip hop, when you getting dissed, they gonna say the most wild things. For you to sue means they really got to you. And if you're suing for your label using the same tactics to push your song, I don't know why I can't articulate myself right now. But if you're suing your label for the same tactics that they use to push your songs, you're not playing fair. Once again, that's not hip hop, man.
Despite knowing the claims were false, the lawsuit states that UMG allegedly chose profit over protecting their own artists. The lawsuit accuses the label of enriching itself and its shareholders by exploiting Drake's name while ignoring the safety risks. Even after the violent incidents on May 7 and May 8, UMG reportedly continued to promote the track. which further contributed to hate and vitriol directed at Drake. The lawsuit then dives into the heart of the controversy, Not Like Us, written and performed by Kendrick Lamar, which all of us, of course, have heard. According to Drake's legal team, this track wasn't just a diss, it was a direct and dangerous attack. But it doesn't stop there. The lyrics were packed with accusations calling Drake a certified pedophile and a predator who should be placed on neighborhood watch. On top of that, the album artwork added fuel to the fire. It featured a depiction of Drake's Toronto home, marked with icons commonly used by law enforcement and public safety apps to signal the
I won't lie, this cover art is sick. Super sick, super disrespectful.
Of child sex offenders. If the lyrics and artwork weren't even enough, the music video took things even further. It paired visuals and hopscotch references to sex trafficking with some very memorable lines from the song, like trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. And by the way, all this is them essentially describing how Kendrick
beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching.
Absolutely violated Drake on Not Like Us, right? According to the lawsuit, this was all part of a coordinated effort to push a malicious and false narrative that put Drake's reputation and his safety on the line. So I think you're on board now and understand why Drake filed this lawsuit. They're saying that the song Not Like Us was a calculated hit to his character, which is what a diss track is supposed to be, of course. According to Drake's legal team, they're saying
he hit the nail on the head. Need I say more?
Drake didn't just throw shade. He accused Drake of being a pedophile and a predator and someone who should be placed on neighborhood watch, even though there's no proof that he, plays with children, right? Aside from that video with that 17-year-old girl on stage, I'll get to all that stuff later, right? On this next part, the lawsuit states that this is not about Kendrick Lamar. It's entirely about the music company UMG, who decided to publish, market, and monetize the record. Now, Drake's legal team says that, he's not a pedophile, and that he's never engaged in any acts that would, require for him to be
Same. I don't think, Noah F. Cool 635. Appreciate you for the follow. I don't think Drake's a pedophile at all. Feel me? And the rap at its core is two men throwing poetry at each other. This is a crash out right now.
On neighborhood watch, let's just put it like that. And that he's never did anything inappropriate with minors, and that he's never been charged with or convicted of any criminal acts whatsoever. Now let's break this down further, because this part really shows why Drake's legal team is going after UMG. Starting in May 2024, UMG reportedly went all in on spreading the song, the visuals, and everything else associated with Not Like Us, what Drake's team calls the defamatory material. Now, the reason, according to the lawsuit, money. According to the lawsuit, UMG knew how damaging and false the allegations were, but they saw it as a business opportunity. The more people who streamed, watched, or downloaded the track, the more UMG and its executives got paid. It was a win for them financially, regardless of the fallout for Drake. The lawsuit also states that UMG's Interscope Records owns Kendrick Lamar's entire back catalog, and that they had recently convinced Kendrick to sign a new deal. So pushing this song as...
So I'm just making sure that you guys aren't hearing feedback. Because on my screen, there's always something moving and going on. I don't know if it's, Well, let me just mute myself. Play it for y'all real quick.
Viral hit was a way for them to prove that they could maximize his sales. Essentially, they were doubling down on Kendrick's music to make him, even more valuable under their control. That's what the lawsuit says.
Yo, is he wearing wrestling belts? I can't figure that out. Ever since he dropped his album, I've been seeing the... Yo, long story short, is Kendrick Lamar wearing WWE belts? Yo, chat. Ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna have to go back to reciting ABCs just to articulate. Take it back to grammar comprehension, bro. This is hilarious.
And this is where it gets real strategic. UMG allegedly had an ulterior motive when it came to Drake. His contract with the label was actually expiring, according to the lawsuit. And renewing the contract wasn't going to be cheap. So, by tarnishing Drake's reputation and devaluing his brand, UMG could position themselves to negotiate a new deal on terms.
That's a good strategy. If that's the case, might be.
That were more in their favor. So to sum it up, the lawsuit paints UMG as straight up vultures who wanted to prioritize their own interest over their own artist interest. From their perspective, the destruction of Drake, if you will, wasn't just collateral damage, it was a part of their plan. Now, UMG's supposed campaign worked exactly how they intended it to work. The lawsuit says that the song Not Like Us disguised its damaging and inflammatory lyrics behind a catchy beat and hook, making it easy for listeners to get hooked while missing the deeper implications, which is kind of the point of a diss song and a song in a lot of ways as well, right? UMG apparently took full advantage of this, using all their resources to spread the message far and wide.
Why not? Why not? They've been doing that for Drake for the past 10 years. When a song is hot, a label's gonna put everything behind it to make it blow up. Shoot, roles reverse. If he made a hot song during that beef, oh my God, we wouldn't stop hearing it to this day. To this day, bro. That shit would spin to the summer. Like, Not Like Us, it didn't get a long summer shelf life. When next I'm gonna pull up, I say like, you gonna hear it at a barbecue. Next time you gonna hear it at a barbecue.
Accusation that Drake likes him young went viral almost instantly. And it wasn't just rap fans who heard it. The song crossed borders and language barriers, spreading its message to hundreds of millions of people worldwide. And they're saying that it became so ingrained in the cultural conversation that the accusation itself began to stick, which is a fact. People started to believe it not as a song, but as a fact. And this is something I do think is interesting because Drake has been involved in a few inappropriate instances with younger women, like that 17-year-old girl on stage when he was 23 years old, which I believe it was in 2010. He knew that she was underage and still kissed her and called her thick, and I'm sure you've already seen that clip.
How old are you? Oh, 17? Why do you look like that? You big.
And also,
It's not a good look. It's not a good look, bro. Oh my God, I paused at the wrong moment. All right, let's continue.
The inappropriate relationship with Millie Bobby Brown, on top of the countless other situations with younger women. But there's no hard evidence that he's actually, played with children, like actual children, like 10.
You gonna lie? Last Christmas, I really saw everybody doing this, bro. Like, it's kind of cool.
9, whatever, right? Which is the biggest reason why this lawsuit even exists in the first place. Essentially, Drake and his legal team are arguing that his own record label was wrong, dead wrong, for exploiting the song that pushed a bunch of lies on his name. And he's obviously felt the heat of this because we all know that Drake's reputation has plummeted severely ever since him and Kendrick went at each other.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think Drake should go independent. I think he should go independent. Regardless. Like, he got one of the biggest bags in music history. I don't know if he's trying to go for I don't know what amount of money, but if he goes independent, bro, it's clip. It's over. If Drake goes independent right now, regardless of everything, people are not getting signed no more. I promise you. I promise you.
Really damaged his reputation and brand. I mean, Not Like Us has been played basically everywhere in the last almost 8 months, right? The song has over 1 billion streams on Spotify after only 8 months of being out, which is insane. Would this lawsuit exist if Not Like Us didn't become so successful? Personally, I don't think so, because at that point there wouldn't be that strong of an incentive for that to happen. If the song didn't make the impact it made, that means that it would have not shifted any type of narrative against Drake's character. Make sense? Now, based from that perspective, to be fair to Kendrick, he also had a bunch of allegations against him coming from Drake. Now, one of the biggest ones was that Kendrick beat up his wife, Whitney Alford. On Drake's diss track Family Matters, he takes direct aim at Kendrick Lamar, accusing Kendrick of beating his wife and hiring a team to silence allegations of abuse. Now, to be very clear, there's no solid proof that
I won't lie to you. Drake has a knack for attacking your shorties when he beefing with you. He has a knack for coming at your shorties, man.
ever did this, but the accusations have led many people to run with the idea that Kendrick is an abuser. Now, some of this speculation ties back to Kendrick's own album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. If you guys remember, on that album, Kendrick admitted to having sex with a white woman while he was in Copenhagen, Denmark. And at the time, Kendrick was, of course, married to Whitney Alford, his wife. But the confession sparked a lot of controversy about loyalty and the themes of his music. So Drake got fed some type of supposed information about the fact that Kendrick beats his wife for his diss, and he ran with her. Why? Well, for the same reason K-Dot called Drizzy a child diddler, even though there's no proof that he plays with like little children, right? There's also been a long-standing rumor that Kendrick has a history of violence towards women, dating back to a story from over a decade ago. Combined with what I'm about to share, along with Kendrick admitting to cheating on his wife, I think that's why Drake made those accusations on Family Matters. Now let's go back to 2014.
So that's all fair in love and war. There's no proof that he beats his wife. There's no proof Drake's a pedophile. Just one of the two songs got lit. Now he's trying to sue. It's literally all fair in love and war.
Just want to preface that there's no solid evidence to prove any of the stuff that I'm going to talk about, but accusations about Kendrick being involved in an incident of abuse have floated around for a while. The story goes like this. On May 3rd, 2014, security at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas responded to a young white woman who was reportedly beaten and bloodied. She supposedly pointed the finger at Kendrick, who had performed at the hotel that same day. A media outlet claimed they initially publicized the story, but things got messy pretty quickly. According to reports, a crisis management team got involved, and this is when Drake's lines come into play, right? And they allegedly put heavy pressure on this platform to take the article down, and supposedly working behind the scenes to erase any video evidence. Now, all this is speculation, and that's why Drake said what he said on Family Matters. Kendrick did respond to these claims in 2014 by saying the following.
When they said you were in Vegas and you beat some guy bloody and you did something to some female, and they said they had evidence and all of this, and then I never heard anything about it again.
Yeah, because it's foolishness. That's the most ignorant stuff I've ever heard made up. And, you know, that person who ever made that up owes an apology. Not to me, but to women that actually go out there and get abused. That's not cool. It's people out there that really get abused, and there's women out there that get abused and don't say nothing.
And the video in question of the person who worked at the establishment is this video right here.
I got told to go up to her room to help some girl get down to the casino because she was scared. She ends up being all bloody and everything. Half of her face was like blown out pretty much. So I'm like, oh, lovely. And come to find out, she was with a certain rapper who had assaulted her. First name was Kendrick. Kendrick Lamar? Yeah.
Can we stop with the self-care weeks? Like, what if we did adult weeks instead? Think about it. Instead of laying in bed and rotting away, we literally just...
Has been accusations flying on both sides, which makes you wonder, why hasn't Kendrick filed a defamation lawsuit against Drake? Technically, he could have a case, right? Now, there are two possible reasons for this. The first is that, as earlier, these accusations against Kendrick didn't gain enough public traction. They haven't become widely recognized or impactful enough to seriously damage his reputation in the way that would warrant legal action. And number two, which I think is the more likely reason, he's taken it on the chin. No Diddy. I beefed with this guy. We both made accusations against each other, but obviously I know I came out on top, so I'm Gucci. Now, had the accusations Drake made against Kendrick been more believable, I think they might have probably, been able to stick, and he would have actually had a shot at damaging Kendrick's reputation. But he failed with that, because when people look at Kendrick and they think about him, they don't see him as a guy who would do something like that. So this is very perception based, and also there's no solid proof that he did any of this. Like, what the fuck is the surveillance footage of this if this actually happened? Now, supposedly the story is they cleaned it up, like, they must have quote unquote deleted the surveillance footage, but if law enforcement got involved, then this would have never happened, obviously. So I'm like, where the hell is the surveillance footage?
Well, as I said, I don't know if the mic was on or not. Kendrick understands the game, bro. I diss you, you diss me. If I'm winning, come with a better song. That's it.
not gonna believe it until I see it. Now, when people look at Drake, though, some might see him as the type to be involved in questionable situations, PDM stuff. So it kind of makes sense.
I won't lie to you, bro. A beard makes a hell of a sorry, dry throat. A beard makes a hell of a difference. Like, hell of a difference. That's crazy. Your boy's struggling right now.
People would believe Kendrick over Drake, right? Now, I think this lawsuit is a slippery slope because it puts an even bigger spotlight on the justice system's use of rap lyrics in criminal cases. While Drake's issues here is more about how Universal Music Group pushed and marketed the song to damage him, I believe this could still have a negative impact on hip-hop artists as a whole. For years, rappers have been fighting against
What kind of belt is that?
courts using their lyrics as evidence, arguing that it unfairly targets their creative.
Alright. Me nah go see a man crotch for find out. No, sir.
Passion. But now we're seeing one of the biggest artists in the world potentially opening that can of worms. This situation could end up setting a dangerous precedent, making it even harder for artists to separate their art from real-life legal consequences. Another reason I think Drake filed this defamation lawsuit is that it gives him a chance to overshadow the impact of the PDF allegations. In my opinion, I think this is a strategic move on Drake's end. Drake know that the accusations Kendrick made in Not Like Us can't be undone. The damage is already out there, and those claims have left a mark on his reputation. So his best move to regain control of the narrative is through this lawsuit. It's not just about legal battles. It's about creating a formal response where he can outline in detail how these allegations have hurt his business and reputation. In essence, the lawsuit itself becomes part of his strategy to counteract the claims and shift the focus. Overall, it's very clear why this lawsuit is a thing. I can't really blame Drake because, he's doing this for his own best interest. He's looking out for himself and his business.
So I hear that, but you feel me? You gotta come with something where the people can't ignore it. I mean, you got dissed hard, but it's like, alright, cool. Now I gotta fire a song for y'all. So, what I say is this. I think Drake, he should have never responded. Like, after Not Like Us dropped, he should have just stayed low, kept cool. Watch what's going on. Watch what they're saying real quick. But get in the lab. Start cooking up. Get mad creative and then come out. Next song you drop, don't say a word about Kendrick. And then when you ready, when everything's all hot and ready, now you drop this song.